Alrighty, that's around. Hello. Let me get you situated here. Welcome. Oh, I have to get you into my little camera holder, which is not easy. Welcome. Whoop. I wish there was an easier way to do this with Periscope when you're setting it up so that you don't have to like point it at something on the opposite side of your phone and then flip it around. Maybe they'll eventually figure that out. But anyways, welcome. Today we're going to be talking about some fun stuff. Our topic is New Year's resolutions and why setting New Year's resolutions for most people just doesn't work. Hi, welcome. Everybody tell me your name and where you're from. I'd love to hear a little bit more about who we have on live with me here for this chat today. It's funny, I have makeup on today and from British Columbia, awesome. I have makeup on today. I'm going to do this video, I'm going to do a video later, and my house cleaner was here earlier when I was getting ready while she was here, and she's like, I don't even recognize you, because normally she sees me without any makeup on. It's so funny. But I work from home, so that's one of the benefits. But anyways, welcome. Get comfortable. You know, I think we're going to have a really good talk today. I have some notes here that I'm going to make sure I have up so that I hit everything, because I want to make sure I get you all of the information today that I promised you. And so today we're talking about why New Year's resolutions don't work. And for those of you that may not know who I am, I'm Sheila Viers, and I help women break free from yo-yo dieting so they can feel amazing in their skin. So give me some hearts for that if that's something that you're excited about. And anytime I say something that you resonate with or that makes you feel like, yes, that's what I need right now, give me some hearts, because it helps me to be energized. It helps me to feel like, okay, I'm hitting on the things that are really helpful for them. Like they, like go more in depth with this, or make sure, I finish this point. Just, it helps me to know that you're engaged and that you're there and that you're with me. So hearts are good. Anytime you're feeling it, just give me some hearts. So today I'm going to share 3 simple tools really that are going to help you to create long-term sustainable success when it comes to achieving your goals instead of just setting New Year's resolutions. And specifically, I'm going to be talking about like the examples and so forth. Oh, you just tap the screen. Just like this is what I just do it like over and over and over again. If you tap, yep, there you go. Yeah, hi Kim. So anyways, I want to give you 3 simple tools to make it easier for you to set yourself up for success when it comes to setting goals and then achieving them, versus just setting a New Year's resolution and then, having it happen like it always does, where you have great intentions and you're very, very excited on January 1st. But then when it comes down to it, you just don't end up following through, and there's a whole bunch of reasons why that happens. And just to kind of get us started, I want to talk a little bit about why they don't work first, and then I'll give you those tools to implement that will make you actually succeed in achieving them or your goals. One of the reasons why New Year's resolutions don't work is that they're often set from this mindset of like disgust or guilt or shame. So can you relate to that? It's like you get through the holidays and you feel like, oh my God, I ate so much, or I, just really checked out when it came to my workouts and I just didn't work out the whole time, all throughout the holidays. Or you just feel like, man, I had all of these great intentions of taking care of myself and throughout all of these parties, but every single time I flew off the wagon, or I drank too much, or I ate too many cookies, or you just feel like, oh, I'm just so, I just feel so bad about my decisions, or I feel bad about my body. A lot of times I hear women will tell me like my outsides don't match my insides. And, it sounds weird when you think about it, but like, do you understand that feeling of give me some hearts if that's something you can relate to, just feeling like, no, like you need to almost explain to yourself when you see someone that you haven't seen in a while, like, no, this isn't what I really look like. Let me just tell you, this is actually not what I usually look like. You know, this is not the me that's on the inside. And so you just feel like, oh, I'm so like mad at myself. And there's like a gray area there, because, you know, being done, like being to the point where it's more uncomfortable to continue doing what you've been doing than it is to do something different. Did I say that right? It's when it becomes to the point where it's more uncomfortable for you to continue doing the thing that you've been doing, and it's more comfortable for you to change. That's when you're ready to change. Meaning, like, obviously changes when it comes to behavior are not usually very comfortable, especially when we have to expand, when we have to grow, when we have to do something different that we've been avoiding for some time. It's not usually very comfortable, but there becomes a point when you're just ready to do that thing that you haven't been ready to do previously, because you know that the benefits are going to so outweigh, you know, the contrast or the uncomfortableness. So you're ready. And so anyways, getting back to the point, most people set New Year's resolutions from this mindset of disgust or guilt or shame. And so, you know, a lot of times, like talking about this gray area, a lot of people will say like, oh, well, fear is so motivating. Like, you know, shame is so motivating. It keeps you going. It will make you do those things that you don't want to do. But honestly, the truth is that it is motivating in the beginning, like for a little while. That's why most people can last until like the end of January with their, you know, like going to the gym and eating healthy. But then at some point, fear and shame is so energy depleting, you know, to be forcing yourself to do these things that, you know, you're not in the right mindset. You're not in the right headspace. And so when you're not in the right headspace and you're trying to force yourself to do these things, eventually you just run out of steam. And that's when people start saying like, I just don't have the willpower, or I don't know what happens. Like every week something comes up and I just can't stick with it. I'm going to talk to you about what to do instead here in a minute, but I just kind of want to set this up so you understand, you know, like to do it from this mindset that's energy depleting or draining just isn't sustainable. You know, we try to go to extremes. We say like, okay, I'm going to throw it all of the treats in my pantry. Did anybody do that? You know, do you feel like you should do that? You feel like I have to get everything out of sight because then it'll be out of mind. I can't do anything. I can't go out. I just have to stay home. I have to prepare all of my food in Tupperware, and I just have to be in this place where I just have no temptation. And it's tricky because again, that can be helpful for a little while, but then you get to the point where you feel like you're just living in this body jail and you're so just deprived that you end up binging or going way off the wagon. So let's see. Oh, and I wanted to share an example from my life too. Like I can totally relate to that because that used to be me. Like I'll share with you my story, you know, back in the day when I was dieting hardcore, I was so strict with myself that like I wouldn't go out. I wouldn't do anything. I just ate my, you know, grilled chicken breasts, my broccoli. I brought my lunch to work. I never went out to lunch with coworkers. I never participated in the birthdays or the cakes, you know, when people would bring in a cake or have cake for people's birthdays. And at the time I thought, well, I'm taking good care of me by not doing this. And in some cases, yes, that is helpful. Like sometimes you have to have those boundaries and be clear in your mind about like, these are the things that I need to do to take care of myself right now. But I will tell you that at that time, I was doing it from a mindset of restriction and deprivation because I thought that was the only way for me to get to that goal, versus from this mindset of self-discovery and self-love, which is what we're going to talk about today. You know, there's a very clear difference between when you're setting goals from this mindset of what we were talking about earlier, like fear, shame, guilt, pain, you know, not good enoughness, like when I get there to that number on the scale, then I'll be good enough, over to this mindset of self-discovery and self-love where you trust yourself to be able to be in those situations where there is cake in front of you, or for me, like to be able to go out with girlfriends and have a couple cocktails and, you know, maybe a few chips and guacamole, but not go like balls to the wall because it's in front of me. Like that's so freeing to to think about that. Like at the time I thought it was not possible. Today, that's my life. That's normal for me. But I thought that I couldn't do that. But really, it was just because I hadn't practiced enough. And that's where you start to learn that creating a lifestyle, and this is what we're going to get to today, like this lifestyle approach, this broader, more all-inclusive approach where you're setting goals and expectations for yourself from this mindset of love, is so much more sustainable than saying to yourself, I have to get all the cookies out of my house, I can't have peanut butter around, all the chocolate's got to go, you know, like whatever candy from the holidays, it's my kids, like can't be around. You know, I want to teach you how to be able to be around these things. I'm glad you guys can resonate with this because this is so common. Like it's so common to think it has to be all or nothing, and that's not life. That's not real life. You know, real life is living, it's being happy, it's having fun, it's being able to enjoy these little treats here and there, but not feeling like it's going to trigger you to go off the deep end and do something that's going to be detrimental to you. So that's the first thing that I wanted to talk about. The second reason is that we tend to, and this kind of ties in with that, it's like we tend to try to go too hard, too fast, you know, and then we just get overwhelmed. You know, we try to focus on perfection, and that's not even possible. You know, women, especially us women that have really high expectations for ourselves, you know, we're type A, very driven, very focused women that know what we want. We set standards for ourselves that are so high that like even Superwoman herself could not meet those standards. But we think that we're supposed to, right? And we're so loving to other people and so kind and so generous, yet when it comes to ourselves, we're like so hardcore strict, like drill sergeant, like we shame ourselves, you know, we look at ourselves and point out all of the things that are wrong, and we rarely see the things that are right. And see, I'm so glad, like give me some hearts if you can relate to that. And the truth is that it's not healthy. Like that's not healthy, and that's not what produces a long-term, sustainable, healthy lifestyle that helps you to feel amazing in your skin. You know, and there's a difference. Like a lot of the teachers and coaches that talk about self-love these days talk about goals, and they say like, not everyone, but what we tend to hear in the media especially, it's either like, you know, hardcore dieting, or the opposite end of the spectrum tends to be that if you are going to love your body, that you need to embrace it exactly as it is and not need to change it. And I think that I like to sit in the middle between those two, where I say like, hey, you know what? Whatever you want to achieve for your body, like whatever goals, whatever dream body goals you have, that's okay. Like it's okay for you to set goals for yourself. Here's the thing. I want you to set those goals from a mindset of self-love, self-discovery, you know, and we always focus on what we didn't do instead of what we did accomplish. It's so true, and that's so ingrained through society. We think that like we have to be problem focused, and what I teach and what I know to be helpful and successful is to be solution focused. So yes, like we go through life, we have experiences, we do things, but then when we feel like we made a wrong decision, we just focus so heavily on that wrong decision rather than saying, okay, that was a clarifying moment. It helped me to learn about myself, right? It helped me to learn about myself and what I want. So what has that taught me about what I'm going to do from here forward? And then you focus on that solution, and then you just go. And you don't look back and feel shame or guilt or whatever on whatever you did or didn't do, because now you have this new insight. You have this power. You have a greater power than you had before that situation. So it's actually a really great thing because it helps you to clarify about what type of life you want to create for yourself. So, and then finally, the last piece that I wanted to talk about why New Year's resolutions don't work is because usually they are set from this mindset of feeling like this is what we should do. you know, like we get very caught up in the media, especially in December, the end of the year. You know, the media is talking about all the latest and greatest trends in dieting and fitness and what you should do and what you shouldn't do, and this list of foods that you should eat and this list of foods that you shouldn't eat, and these exercises that you should do, and this is what you should avoid, and blah, 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 blah. And then a lot of times, like 2 months later, it'll be flip-flopped, and the thing that you thought you were supposed to do is actually not the thing that you should be doing, and you're like, I'm so confused, I don't know what I should be doing. And so you can just get so caught up in trying to figure everything out and listening to what everybody else is telling you to do, that you lose touch with your own guidance, your own knowing of like what your goals and desires are for yourself. Not necessarily what you think you're supposed to be, but like what really feels good to you. So that's the thing, is like when, you know, we go by what we've heard from other people as acceptable, or, you know, we focus so heavily on trying to keep up with the Joneses, and we look around us at, you know, our social circles, and we compare ourselves to our friends, we compare ourselves to all of the celebrities. You know, we watch the Golden Globes and we look at all those celebrities in their dresses and we think like, oh, I need to look like that, you know, and you put yourself up side by side against these women, and you have no idea what's going on in the background, you know, what they have to do to look like that, what, you know, there's so many things that, like, ultimately, I think that the benefit of looking at anyone else's life from our outside looking in perspective, when we never have all of the details, we never know what's going on, we can look at someone's life at face value, and we can look at it and say, these are the pieces of what they've got going on that I really like, that brings these good emotions into me of like, ooh, this is inspiring, or oh, that's inspiring, or oh, I'd like to create some of that for myself. But here's the thing. You don't need to compare yourself to them. You just need to pick and choose and use that to help you to clarify where you're going in your own life with your own preferences and your own desires, because every single person is so unique. And so you never can compare yourself like apples to anybody else's life, because every single person is different. So just keep that in mind. Like, the only person who really knows what you should be doing is you. And anything else that anybody else tells you is simply information that you can use to filter and decide for yourself what's most important to you. So with all of that said, let's talk about what you should do instead, what you should do. And here's the thing, this is coming from me, like I am your guide. I am so clear that I am not going to sit here and tell you like you have to do this. Yes, keep your eyes on your own paper. It's so true. So, and my whole goal is to give you these tools that you can implement to help yourself to tune back inward and to figure out from inside of you what works best for you. Not by me saying like, this is what you need to eat and this is what you need to do for exercise, because your goals are like, every single person's goals are so different. And so I can give you the tools, and then I want you to pick and choose the things that feel the best for you. Like, I hope that makes sense. Do you get what I'm saying? So with that, let's talk about some of those tools. So here are these three simple steps or tools that will help you to begin setting goals from this mindset of self-discovery and self-love, so that they can become sustainable, so that it becomes something that's actually doable and you can actually achieve those goals over this next year. So number one is right what we've been talking about, or just exactly what we've been talking about so far. Number one is to take some time to be introspective. So, and write that down if you have a pen and paper. Like, take some time to give yourself permission. I love that word. Permission and nourishment are two words that I love. I'm going to be doing a free course, a free telecourse series coming up here in the next few weeks about that, and about those two words, about permission and nourishment. And those are two things that we really don't give ourselves. And I think that giving yourself permission to just take a step back and decide, like, I don't need to figure this out overnight. Like, I don't need to make this big long list of things right now today that I need to start doing. But instead, what is this? I've got like a funny hair going straight out. Instead, you give yourself time to just sit down and connect with yourself and ask yourself, like, my favorite question, what is it that I need to do right now to nourish myself or to feel nourished? What can I do right now to make myself or help myself feel nourished, to feel whole, to feel connected, to feel empowered, to feel clear-minded, to feel joy, you know? And such a powerful question, and it's a question that most people don't ask themselves because they're so focused on their to-do list and just getting things done and keeping up with the Joneses or their responsibilities or what they, you know, think that they have to do. And if you just give yourself permission to just check in for a little bit, oh my God, you'll amaze yourself of the things that you will find out or figure out, or really it's not figuring out, it's just what you'll tap into. So if you feel like that's tough to even think about what that looks like, if you feel like you need some further guidance, I have a couple resources for you, and you might want to write these down. One of them is the book The Desire Map by Danielle LaPorte, and the other is a book called The Way of the Happy Woman. And I'm going to go grab those two books real quick. I should have grabbed them before, but I forgot. So write those two down, and I'm going to grab them, and I'll be right back. Hang on 1 second. Way of the Happy Woman, Desire Map, and I'm going to grab this one too. Okay, so I've got The Desire Map, and that's by Danielle LaPorte. And then, it is amazing, right? And then, oh, that's you, Kim. Yes, it's so good. And then The Way of the Happy Woman by Sarah Avant Stover. She actually has a new book out too. I haven't read her newest book, but both of these are so great. The Way of the Happy Woman has like this whole section here on page 76. I don't know if you can see that, but it's like a big question and answer thing that asks a whole bunch of questions that really help you to clarify like what your priorities are, what your values are, and getting clear on like how you want to feel the next year. And the same thing goes for the Desire Map. Like, the Desire Map was so transformational for me. In the book, Danielle talks about how basically you want to find your goals with soul, but ultimately your core desired feelings are the feelings, like it's your values is essentially what it is that she's talking about. Your values, and then from there your goals with soul, meaning like goals that are set from this mindset or this intention of how do I want to feel on a regular basis, because it's not about the number on the scale, it's not about making $1 million, it's not about having that car, it's not about having that house, it's about how you think that thing will help you to feel about yourself and about your life. So those are two really powerful tools, and really essentially just being introspective and giving yourself permission to ask yourself, like, how do I want to feel on a daily basis? What can I start doing right now while I'm on my way to whatever goals I have set for myself to feel that way? How can I choose my goals from that mindset? Like, you know, if it's not about the number on the scale, then what's it about? You know, and that was what I had to go through. Like, I was that girl. Like, I was so obsessed with the scale. Every day I'd wake up and weigh myself, and if it was a number that was higher than the day before, my whole day would be ruined, you know? And then if it was a number that was lower, I thought, oh my God, today's going to be a great day. And then I was happy, and I just was I was so imprisoned by this little metal and plastic thingy, you know? It was like my whole self-worth was attached to that little thing and that little number. And here's the funny part, is that eventually I got to that number that I thought was magically going to make my whole life better, and I was going to feel amazing. And what I realized is that by the time I got to that point, I was so scared of gaining the weight back that I felt more imprisoned than ever. Like, I was so scared. I was even more scared to go to the cake parties or, you know, the girlfriend cocktails or pizza with my family, or, anything because I was so afraid that I was going to mess up and gain the weight back again. And like, what kind of life is that to live, you know? Like, you can't. You just can't. There's no way you can keep yourself inside of this little bubble. So, yeah, Kim says, amen, made no difference. I was still unhappy at my ideal weight. Yeah. And when you get that, it's the same thing with people who are chasing a number for like a certain amount of money that they want to make. Like when you think, I'm going to feel so good when I make $100,000 a year, or I'm going to feel so good when I have that car or that house, I live in that neighborhood, you know, or I have 2 kids, or whatever your goal is. And then you realize, like, best thing I ever did was stop weighing myself. Yes. And there's a whole, like, another topic, like another conversation for another day, where we can talk about, and I have talked about this a lot. I talk about it a lot in my immersion program, where when you stop focusing on that goal as, you know, like the thing that creates so much stress, like when you stop weighing yourself and you stop stressing yourself out every day, it frees your body up, like from a biomechanical stance. Like literally your central nervous system, when it's stressed, it can't function optimally. Your metabolism, your digestion, all that stuff gets messed up when you're stressed out all the time. So anyways, when you stop stressing yourself out all the time, it frees your body up to be able to work like that amazing machine that it is. So it's actually really beneficial to your goals, and that's usually how it happens. When people stop obsessing over it, then your body is able to work like it's made to work. Similar thing, like when some, you know, a man and woman are really focused on having a baby, and then they give up and they adopt, and then they end up getting pregnant. You know, same kind of a thing. So anyways, off topic, but kind of not. Anyway, so that's number 1. Give yourself some time to get introspective, to go within, to get the answers from inside, to like, basically you have to kind of like crack yourself back open again, because most people are so closed down that they just don't even know how to access that information. Those 2 books will help you. I also do work with this, you know, with my clients. If you'd like some guidance, I can help you out as well. But ultimately you need to get back in touch with yourself. So number 2 is get clear on your big why. So that's really what we were talking about, like the connecting, going within, finding your goals with soul, figuring out your core desired feelings. It's going to help you decide, like, what is that big, huge motivator that's beyond the scale, beyond the skinny jeans, beyond the whatever it is that you think is going to make you feel good, but like, why? Why do you want that thing? How is it that you want to feel? And for most of my clients, when we really get down to it, they tell me that it's because they want to feel amazing in their skin. Can you relate to that? They want to feel at peace. They want to be able to just breathe. They want to be able to live their life, like take all of that mental energy that they've been spending on trying to figure out how to lose weight, how to eat right, how to get healthy, how to build muscle, well, like all that stuff. They want to like take that amount of mental energy and focus it towards, like, what is it that I really want to do with my life? Like, what energizes me? What creative endeavors am I excited about? Like, you know, how can I show up as the best version of myself in my family, like for my kids? Like, how can I be so connected with my kids and my husband, or, you know, in my work, because I'm not so focused on this thing that's been like a monkey on my back forever. So that's really the goal, is just feeling so good and so confident about yourself that you then can show up as the best version of your life in every other aspect. So getting clear on your big why, that's that big driving force. So that's what I just said. And then you can get that much more focused, you know, and some ways to help you get in touch with that big why is to go through step number 1, but then also beyond that, once you get more clear on the signals that are coming from inside you, then you can create a vision board around it. You know, you can put words that make you feel really good. You can put pictures that make you feel really good. You can journal every single night 5 things that you appreciated about the day, about that particular day. And the more you do that, the more like layers and layers of stuff you remove, and the more clearly connected you get to that voice from within, that knowing, that's that power, that confidence, you know, that inner truth that helps you to really use as like your beacon or your guide towards really creating the life of your dreams. So that's number 2. And then finally, number 3 is prioritizing your priorities. And this is something that I talk about in my immersion course. I also have a free video series if you want to dive into that. If you go to rockyourdreambody.com, and in that series I tell you how to go through this process. But you know, when we set resolutions, the problem, like we talked about already, is that we really don't play the tape forward, and we don't really look at, like, so I want to, you know, I have this list of these things that I'm saying that I want to do, but then what? You know, like, let's play the tape forward. What does that look like? How do I plug that into my schedule? And so when you go through this process and you figure out your big why, then you can sit down and say, like, you know, what are my priorities? Like, what are my top 3 priorities? And then this is an exercise I go through with my clients. I have them pull out their calendar and look at, where am I spending my time? Honestly, where am I spending my time? And do my priorities, meaning, like, is my schedule aligned with what I'm saying is important to me? Like, do those 2 things match? And if they don't, then that's when you start making some changes. And it's not easy, but it's so worth it. It can be easy in the sense that you can tell yourself, like, I'm ready to change. I'm ready to do this. So what am I willing to adjust so that I can start putting focus and attention towards those things that I'm saying are so important to me? So that's the process. And here's another tip. I think, you know, a lot of times we talk about, like, SMART goals, you know, and we talk about, like, setting these, you know, like, I talk about VIP appointments, like setting your workouts as any other VIP appointment, you know, setting up self-care, like a monthly massage, as any other VIP appointment. But here's the thing, like, I want you to look at this when I talk about prioritizing your priorities and setting up these different times in your schedule for the things that you need to do to move towards that thing that you're saying you want. I want you to look at it from this mindset of, like, what's my own unique lifestyle? What are the things that energize me, and what are the things that deplete me? And so, for example, like, I'll have some clients that tell me, honestly, I hate food prep. Like, I hate it. I don't want to spend my Sunday in the kitchen making, you know, chicken breasts or salmon and broccoli or vegetables or potatoes or whatever. I don't want to do it. I just don't. So when they're being very honest with themselves and they tell themselves that, like, that's actually a really positive thing, because then we can start making adjustments. Like, I want health to be as easy and convenient for you as possible. And so that's why, like, with those clients, for example, I have a nutrition line that we plug in, that we use to make it easier for them so that they can fuel their body, they can flood their body with nutrients through shakes, supplements, and different things, so that at least they have those bases covered. You know, 2 meals a day are the shakes, so they don't have to make those meals, you know. Then we look for different places, like maybe near your work there's a grocery store that has a salad bar that you can go to and get your salad every day. And, you know, so you might pay a little bit more, but if convenience is worth it for you, like, in the long run, you're going to save yourself money because you're going to be healthy. You know, you're not going to eventually be spending on health care bills down the road. You're going to be feeling your best, and to spend a couple more dollars a day to get your body the fuel that it needs in a way that is energizing to you rather than energy depleting, that allows you to really live your life and not spend your Sundays in the kitchen. Like, if that's something that you're excited about, then let's set that up, you know. But the other side of the coin, like, if you love cooking and you love doing stuff like that, then go for it, you know. So that's where we have to be very discerning about what's the best fit for us. And so I want you to look at it in that sort of a mindset, like prioritizing your priorities. Like, you look at your schedule and you have, you know, Saturday morning is spent cleaning, but one of your priorities is your family. Like, maybe there is some sort of agreement that you can make, you know, where you can figure out, like, hey, you know what, we can afford a house cleaner. We can. Like, here's how we can make some adjustments. Or maybe you don't need to make adjustments. Maybe it's just a commitment. And you have someone come in and clean your house so that you can have that time to spend with your family. So those are my 3 tips. So just to recap, Number one is to take some time to be introspective and to tune in and to really get clear on what you want to create for your life and what your core desired feelings, your values are, how you want to feel beyond the number on the scale. Number two is setting or getting clear on your big why. So, taking number one a little bit further and being very deliberate and discerning about, like, what am I trying to create? Like, what do I believe the number on the scale is going to bring me? Like, if I was, for me, it was like 125 pounds was my goal forever. So if I said to myself, what do I think I'm going to feel if I weigh 125 pounds? And for me, that was like, I would feel amazing in my skin. I would feel so confident. I would feel, like the woman that I am on the inside. I would feel like I was showing up as the best version of me. And so once you get clear on that big why, then you can start designing your life around that versus getting to the number on the scale. So you can start, doing things that help you to feel that way right now while you're on your way to whatever goals that you then set for yourself from the mindset of self-discovery, not from the mindset of not good enough until I get there. Does that make sense? I hope so. Give me some hearts if that jives with you. And then number three is prioritize your priorities. And that's really looking at your schedule and making sure that the things that you value the most are lining up with how you are spending your time and then adjusting accordingly. And, using convenient ways to plug in the things that you need to feel your best. So that's it for today. That was kind of a long one. This is probably my longest Periscope so far. But thanks for sticking with me for those of you that stayed. I'm so glad you enjoyed it. Thank you for showing up. I really appreciate it. And if you want more, sign up for my newsletter, or you can sign up for my newsletter. Awesome. I'm gonna be doing these Periscopes weekly. So every Wednesday, it's probably going to be at 1 p.m. Pacific, but I might bounce around the time a little bit to see if more people are available at other times of the day. But if you want more, you can sign up for my free newsletter at sheilaviers.com/free gift. And I'm also on Facebook doing a challenge called 100 Days of Vulnerability. And so today is day 5. I'm going to be making the video a little bit later. And so you can come over to Facebook and find me at facebook.com/SheilaJViers. And you can watch all of my videos there. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining in and for asking questions and for commenting and for, sharing and giving hearts. Tell your friends about it, like if you feel like you know of someone that might benefit. So definitely let them know about next week. Next week is going to be 1 p.m. on Wednesday Pacific time. So I hope to see you there. Talk soon. Bye, everyone.